my control, and I just thanks you all for being good Democrats and working hard. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and I just caught.
How does it feel to be married 25 years?
It feels great. And I was thinking this morning as I rode my bike to my office that that bike ride across Europe when we first got together is why we survived. We learned a lot of survival skills as a married couple. If you're not aware that my wife and I recently celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. Beyond that, emotionally, I did want to mention Ken Hoover. I don't know if he was talked about earlier today. Yeah, Ken said something to me back in 1997 when I first ran for county council that has really stuck with me, and I would hope that all candidates take his words of wisdom, and that is make it fun. We had a fun campaign. We lost, but we had a great time. And 2 years later, I got elected to the county council and made a significant shift. And there are good people running for mayor, and there are very good people running for city council. And we have very good people who have stepped up and running for county council as well. And it's not just about qualifications, though. It's about where we're heading as a community. And who's going to lead in what direction. And there's three things that we really need to make fundamental changes on in this city. One is we need to approach city planning in a very, very different manner than we currently are. Continuing expanding the urban growth area and destroying what makes this community great, like urbanizing 70% of the Lake Patton watershed at 6 to 12 units per acre, is not acceptable. And that's an issue before the county council right now. And I think that if the city had looked at that very carefully, they would have not made that recommendation. And I hope that it resonates when it goes back to the city. But that's the same is true as elsewhere. People are very concerned that we will destroy what makes this a great place, because we haven't taken the steps and changed the way we approach planning within neighborhoods in the city. We need to make a major shift in commitment in that way. We also need to take full responsibility for our drinking water source. And that hasn't been happening. We need to make those fundamental steps. I have a couple examples, but I was on an advisory board for coming up with a way to protect 50% of the Lake Whatcom watershed. During those meetings, the city had 4 different people show up. Some days they came, some days they didn't, and they provided no technical expertise in that area. And that applied to DNR managed land, but this is really, really critical. And the county committed through my participation in that committee and a willingness to accept loss of revenue so that we would protect that drinking water source. And the city really should have been there, fully engaged. We need to have a single department in charge of the watershed or stuff falls off the table like that. And then finally, I think that the thing that I've been hearing, and people will ask, well, how are you going to do neighborhood planning? How are you going to protect Lake Whatcom? It's going to cost money. Well, those are priorities for this community. And it's very clear to me in doorbelling and talking to people and listening to other candidates that it is the priority of them as well. So how do we reset our priorities? We need to have a very transparent process where we all get together and listen to everybody, be they conservative, be they liberal, be they concerned about the environment, be they concerned about family wage jobs, and talk about where our priorities are as a community. Get that input to the mayor's office who writes the budget, involve the county council in that so a budget goes forward that meets all our priorities. So some stuff might fall off that we find are not our priorities after all, but have that a very open process. And that hasn't been happening, and it needs to change. I really appreciate those who have supported me. I appreciate those who have supported other people that are working on their campaigns too, because that means we care. And issues get changed during campaigns. That's one great thing about them, is that we learn so much during these periods, and we shift as a community. I had an issue once that I brought before the county council where someone was opposed to what I was bringing forward and said, "You county council, you're breaking the public trust," because we were taking action on something. And it really stuck with me because what we were working on was an agricultural issue, and we were trying to protect farmland in Whatcom County. Every single county council member who had run and gotten elected had all said they were going to protect farmland. So how are we breaking the public trust by bringing those forward and actually taking action? And so the county council moved forward, and we've made some significant changes in that regard. And that's what these elections are about. This is a public process where we learn and we build public trust, and then we follow through on it after we get elected. So I appreciate your support, if you're willing to. If you're not, work hard for your opponents, or my opponents. Work hard for your opponents.